Welcome to another episode of Breaking Bank. This is your host, Jack McKeag, and you can check us out on libertyaid.org. If you have any thoughts or questions, please write us at contact@libertyaid.org. We're on Instagram too. Quite often I'm blocked out of Facebook, more often than not. Currently I am. So what I wanted to do on this video, I'm going to try to give out some truth that I'm aware of. And why would I do that? Well, really, I remember when I was younger, I was very interested in the truth. I really wanted to know about the money system and what was really going on, and I wanted to know about God. I wanted to know about those things. And the more I would search and ask people, the people I knew, people in religions and so on, anyone around, when my questions I kept asking them, it turned out that they didn't really know the answer. They knew what they'd been told, but they didn't know. And so they couldn't really help me. And so I had to continue my search for truth until I found it out, because no one around me was told truth, so they didn't know truth, and they didn't decide to put down everything they were doing to go in search of truth and in search of God. They didn't do that, so that's how come they didn't know. And now that I'm older, I do have some of that information, and it's sorry. Just wanted to make sure I touched on all the points I had on my mind here for this introduction. So the issue really became, where can I find truth? So knowing truth and not knowing truth is just knowing truth and not knowing truth. There are different words for it and so on, but really it all comes down to knowing truth and not knowing truth. So some information I have, some others aren't aware of. So for the few individuals looking for truth, I'm doing this video for them. For the rest of the people that are just into how much money can you get and all that, that's fine. Just, you can have this information, might work for you, might not. Continue to go on to the money stuff, that's fine. It works great. I have all the proof, and I'm happy to help with that. But there are some people that just don't know truth, most people, and they're searching for it. And so I have to give out information that's truthful to those individuals that crave it, because I have it, so I have to share it with them, okay? I didn't have it when I was younger, so I looked for it, and then I found it. So now, because I found it, and no one else has found it, I have to share it, because, I would have liked that someone would have done that to me. They didn't. So, one individual eventually did, and we'll get into that. Okay. First, let's see. I think it's important that people understand reality and the system of physical reality that they're in, because without knowing that, you're living in a fantasy completely. So you can't get any traction. Your oar doesn't go in the water because you're making choices based on information that's not true. Okay? So if you're making choices based on information that's not true, you're not going to make the right choices. So if you make choices based on information that's true, now you have the truth, and now you can actually make a well-informed decision, not just a guess. Because the other way, you have information that's not true, so you consider it a guess, because it's not going against truth, so it's just a guess. You went off the information you had, but that information wasn't accurate, so you made an inaccurate decision because you had inaccurate information. Okay? So with accurate information, you can make a better informed choice, right? This isn't about me being humble or not being humble. This is simply dispensing information because people need it to make better choices. That's all my role is. I'm trying to do that. Okay, that's what my role is. That's what God asked me to do for people. Try and dispense this information in a way that they can receive it so they can make better choices. Okay, that's simply all I'm trying to do. Okay, so let's go into God. Who is God? God is the one that made us, protects us, and brings us, had us leave God and come back to God, and really never really have left, all at the same time, which is a confusing topic of conversation. But some things are simple. So let's start with our physical reality. Why? Because once you see the physical reality, the truth of where we are, that reveals God. It's that simple. And then once God is revealed, then you're like, oh, I want to know more about God. And I and others can tell you about it, mostly Mayor Baba. See, there is God is everything. There's nothing that's not God. It's, part of an aspect of God. So God had what was called the original whim, as Mayor Baba calls it, to know self. And that desire to know self created the nothing, the not everything, the part that's not God, right? So God can look in the mirror and go, oh, that's me, because people look in the mirror, oh, they know that's not them, but they have an image of what they are. Okay, great. Now I know something about what I am visually, from a mirror. So God's thought of knowing self created creation. So there's not really a creator per se. Okay? It was a moment, it was an event that happened. All right? And there isn't anything but God. So God's playing a game with kind of like fractured pieces of God. First of all, there is a soul. It's with God. It never leaves God, and spirits come here. Okay, what is here? That's what I really want to focus on today, is what is here? What is this location? What can anyone know simply by observation about physically where you are? What can you know by observation about your reality? Not what someone told you, okay? And then we'll take that observation and then understand where we are, and that reveals God. Okay. So, first of all, God is everything, and then God sends an individual in a male body that is God here to be with us at all times, that never leaves. Just like we have a body right here, like I have a body and it's going to go away, and I will still remain. I'll get another body if I'm to stay here. Okay, same with God. God gets another body, and stays here in this place with us. Okay. So he comes and comes and comes and comes and never goes. Okay, so the one known incarnation of God, Meher Baba, Meherbaba, that's the name. The one incarnation of God that is known is Meher Baba, and he wrote and died wrote books and died in 1969. And there's a lot of historical evidence about it in films and millions of witnesses. Okay, so and video accounts and on. You can look up that name and read about him and see videos for the rest of your life and know that he's God. Okay. And so the way I let people know, okay, you may say he's not Jesus. Okay, right, that's fine. But here's what I say. God has to live a perfect life, and he wrote books, so God would write books perfectly if he were God, right? So read a book and then find one sentence or word that's inaccurate. That's all. And then he's not God, and that then you're right. Hey, he's not God. Okay, or and I'm saying and or you can go look at his life and see what day, because his entire life is chronicled. Not every moment of every day, but pretty nearly. And then you can see what moment of what day, what single action was not godlike and not perfect. Because he's God, so he must be perfect. So find a moment of imperfection in his life and then tell me about it. And then you'll be right. Thanks. Okay. He's not God. But that won't happen, so please do go investigate. So let's look at one of Meher Baba's books today. It's called The Everything and the Nothing by Meher Baba. Yeah, it's backwards because I'm doing this on an Apple iPad Pro. Like the sign, today is a good day to have a good day. It is. So have a good day. Okay, now let's look at there's number 52. The procession of creation. God is infinite and eternal, and his imagination is also infinite and eternal. God's imagination is unending, and the creation, which is the product of his imagination, goes on endlessly expanding. How can man imagine this imagination with his finite imagining? His highest flights of imagination, parentheses, intellect, can never bring him the faintest idea of God's imagination. And God's reality is beyond this again. When you cannot imagine even the imagination of God, how infinitely more impossible is it to fathom his reality? In what is called space, numberless universes are continuously created, sustained, and destroyed. This procession of creation continues so long as God goes on imagining. And when God's imagination is suspended, as it is at moments in eternity when God withdraws himself into his sound sleep state, parentheses, just as a man's imagination ceases when he is in deep sleep, end parentheses, the creation is withdrawn and dissolved, parentheses, Mahapralaya, end parentheses. That's the real topic of this video, Mahapralaya. Creation, preservation, and dissolution are based on ignorance. In fact, there is no such thing as creation, so preservation and dissolution never actually occur. The very cosmos has no foundation save that of ignorance. Ignorance believes the cosmos is a reality. Birth, death, old age, wealth, honor are real. Knowledge knows the cosmos is a dream. God alone is real. Okay, so what does that mean? You should do a further investigation into Meher Baba's writings to find out for yourself what that means. First of all, let me suggest that. But let's go over this a little bit, and then I'll tell you about our reality because it's important to know these things. So let's go in what is called space. See, when he says that there is no space, and let's go over the rainbow proof, right? Rainbows are not created indoors, right? They're not. When you take a shower, there's a light in the bathroom, and you're in a shower, and the light is reflecting into the shower, right? Like it's just coming straight from the light above your head into the shower, right? And there's no rainbow. There's a light, there's water, you're standing in it. You've never seen a rainbow in a shower. Why is that? Because you see them outside when it's like a sprinkler, right? Is like a shower. You're standing in a shower an outdoor shower in the sunlight. You're gonna see rainbow. Why is that? It's actually, if you look at Meher Baba's flag, it's the second rainbow. It's a flag of the second rainbow, basically, with blue, the color of blue of the sky on top of the flag. Well, Meher Baba said, everything real is given and received in silence, and he left one silent message, that flag. It's the only silent message he left. Even though he was silent for 43 years, he had an interpreter, and you can read his books aloud, so they're not silent. Only his flag is silent, nothing else. So what is he trying to say with that flag? Well, he's saying, look into the rainbow. What does that mean? Why can't we see rainbow indoors? Why can we see one outdoors? What's going on with that? Do you see? Okay, well, see, a rainbow can be made only from reflected light. If you think now, hey, I have seen a rainbow indoors. When? You've seen it when crystal has been hanging in a window. You've seen it with a prism. You've seen it with a mirror. You've seen it with a CD reflecting light. You see it with reflected light indoors only. You've seen it many times with many types of reflected light. So only reflected light can produce a rainbow. So the source of light is here. It goes and hits a reflective surface, then it comes back to you in your eyesight. You see rainbow. That's the only way. And a rainbow is formed, right, in water vapor. Okay? But the water vapor itself, that doesn't create on its own, which is regular light from one light source, it doesn't create a rainbow. Otherwise, you see one in the shower every day. You took a shower, okay, and you've never seen it. So that means the sun, right, because there's rainbows outdoors, right? That means the sun is underneath something, right? And light goes up, and it hits it, and it reflects down, right? Because there's nothing below the sun that's reflective. So it has to go up, and then it's reflected off a mirrored surface, comes down, creates a rainbow and water vapor. Prove it. It's that simple. It's so simple. I mean, you've seen it. Every human has experienced this reality, what I'm trying to explain to you. Okay. So what's the mirrored surface above us? In the Bible, they call it the firmament, and Meher Baba in his Master's Prayer, he calls it the firmament too. It's, the dome, whatever you want to call it above your head, but rainbows prove that it exists. Okay? So we're inside an enclosure. Let me tell you about that enclosure. Meher Baba was trying to do it with his words. Okay, let's just take a few basic, obvious parts. I'll go over a few things in case you don't know. Let's go over this bottom drawing right here. This is the circle edge where the edge of the dome is. Let's do the top one. Okay, I'm sorry. Really, we're inside a sphere. Meher Baba calls them a sphere. It's actually true. Although we know there's a dome above us because rainbows are curved, you see, so it's dome. The light doesn't come down and you don't see a straight rainbow. You see a curved rainbow because its reflective surface above the sun reflects up, comes back in a curve. So that means the mirror is curved. And it's curved like the rainbow is. Same curve, same shape. Okay. So that's the curve of the dome above us, all right? And here's Earth here. This part you stand on. And the water, it's all flat. Water lays flat, period. Whether it's an ocean, there's some topographical differences like mountains and hills and whatnot. The land is slightly higher than the ocean, right? Or it'd be in the ocean, okay? But this is just meant to, with all the variations, is sea level and, kind of like where the ground starts. Okay, and up here, this is what they call Earth or hell. This bubble people, and including Meher Baba, calls hell. Okay, and Earth, he calls it Earth too. But down here, this is where the systems of hell are, below the Earth. Okay, this is like the underground Earth, right? This is the systems, right? And this is the above ground of hell. Okay, this is where the people are and stuff, and the animals are. And down here is where they clean the water and the air, and they make tides happen. Tide is like, they pull some in, they clean it up, they send it back out. You see? Like, this is a closed terrarium. There has to be cleaning methods in it. That they're already in there. And Meher Baba said there are 330 million, he calls them angels or fairies and, minor gods and all these things basically that run the systems here, run the water, run the wind. They're in place to do that. That's God's shadow doing it. And those people that make poor choices end up basically in hell, right? Running the systems of hell for the other people that are working on making choices to come to God, or, to go to heaven or to go to hell. And around it, right, is the ocean of bliss. I am the ocean of bliss, Mahapralaya says. See, the blue around the sphere is an ocean. Okay, that's what I'm, okay. That's that top one, and the bottom one here, this is, if you look at it from above, it's a sphere. So any way you slice it, it's going to be, like this dome, right? Half a dome, like when you pop apart those like fake Easter eggs, they're plastic, like pop, now you got half in one hand and half in the other. That's like what we're living in here, okay? But but so from above, if you're holding the bottom half of the Easter egg, this is what it would look like from above, where the land is, okay? And this is the outside edge of the Easter egg, outside edge of the dome, and this is the center point, right? These two lines here represent where the sun is, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, the outside one. And the dotted line is the equator. So the sun basically is, going around here, right? Round and round and round. And at certain times it's out here, and at certain times it's in here. And this is the tropics in between. It stays warm in here. It stays cold on the outside and the inside, because the sun's not there, okay? This is like the basics of our reality that you can look up into yourself, that it's like a system, like a watch. It's simple to understand. There's nothing outside of the dome. The rainbows prove that. So when Baba says, what is called space, millions of things are, destroyed. What is in what is called space, numberless universes are continuously created, sustained, and destroyed. Like, if you read his other writings, you see, even if there are other bubbles in the ocean, every consciousness must come to Earth, must come to this sphere. If there are others, that's debatable and really not important, because we're in this one, right? And we're at the end one. So how you got here, it matters. Your consciousness evolves through all the forms, right? We are God, evolving our consciousness back to God, as Mayor Baba said. But if you have a parrot in a cage and flies free in the jungle, it doesn't understand freedom. But if you put it in a cage and then let it fly free, it understands freedom, you see? And so we're in a dome, free dome, and he gives an analogy about free dome, being a parrot, being a bird. So we have to get out of here. This is a cage we must exit, and you have to know you're even in a cage to exit the cage. You have to know what the rules are, how to get out. But if you don't even know you're in this, relatively small enclosure, you think everything is happenstance, and it's like their story is, no, everything just kind of happens, and we're just here just cause. No, there's no space. We're in a tiny space, physical reality inside this sphere, and God is simply testing us, like bringing us back. And if you don't know that that's what's going on, then see, you're making decisions based on a reality that's only imagined in your mind. And so you're not getting any traction. You're unhappy a lot. Things aren't going well. You're doing what everybody says, and nothing's working out right. It's because they're all lying. They keep their control in here, right, over you and everyone else by lying. God's shadow, God, I don't have time to, like, if I had time and money and energy, I didn't have to do all the work I did and didn't get these million emails a day and didn't help everyone, I would better answer these questions exactly for you with more research and every word of Mayor Baba's and so on from every book and so on, but I just don't have the time for all that. So for the people that actually want truth, you can do some of your own research. How hard is it to look into rainbows? It's so easy. How hard is it to see where the sun goes on the tropics and what dates and so on? It's easy. It's so easy. So what I'm telling you is observable reality. It's not hard to figure out. So, and this is my research has been through Meher Baba, but also speaking to God's shadow because of spiritually where I've gotten. Meher Baba says, have an unwavering loyalty to the truth, and you will get to me, get to God. And that's what I've decided to do. I'm Nayani. I follow gnosis, knowledge, truth. Not made up, not what somebody said, but what's observable to anyone, simple truth, which reveals God. So I'm sharing these things with you, and God is also sharing other information in here, okay, with what he's writing. The creation is withdrawn and dissolved, Mahapralaya. Okay, what does that mean? God, Meher Baba said, I come every 700 to 1400 years. What does that mean, 714? He's like, see, in 700 years. This is what it means. It means that he's awake and in a body 12 times, one as a major incarnation and the other 11 are minor incarnations. And he starts with the 12. He starts with the avatar, with Jesus, being Jesus or Buddha or Meher Baba. So what happens is he's here in a body for 700 years, starting this time, sometime, I don't know the exact date, but what happens is the sphere that we're in is washed out, in other words, filled with ocean water for 700 years while he dissolves this place, and he takes a rest for 700 years physically. Okay, outside of this sphere there is no time. Time only exists in the sphere. Okay, so he takes a break from being in the sphere. He's in both places, he's outside and inside, but he takes a break from being inside with people, right, in earth for 700 years. So you got 700 years to get out of here. You really got each lifetime, and then your memory gets wiped, so you got to get out of here. So Meher Baba, mermaids, mermen, you understand? He is the one that creates mermaids and mermen. They're named after him. We, like, another part of, see, we have to go through all the forms: rocks, fish, worms, all animals, vegetables, everything that's here, right, to evolve our consciousness, all right? But then he needs a break. God, the Son of God, is not going to be in here for 700 years. He's taking a break. He rinses it out, starts again. Literally. That's why, I know sometime between like 1860 and 1880, somewhere in there, the dome was rinsed out, and everything before that is false history. None of it's accurate. It's made up. All history before that time period is made up. You can look into the evidence. Every building older than that basically is underwater for 700 years, and they make it out of stone, so it just sits into the ocean. It just hangs out there. Nothing really happens to it. He drains it again. There's a silt that builds up on the bottom of the ocean, so the silt is there, and so they have to build basically a level higher. That's why each older building is built on another building, always, and you'll always see the evidence of that in every city in every country on earth. If you go look, there's always a first floor that's under, and they're always built on top of it. Churches, old churches, all that stuff is built like that. You'll always see it. You can go look for yourself. It's just simply evidence. I'm not saying anything that you can't go get your own evidence on. So much of it. If you look at on videos, there's a guy in Russia who's really into it called the mud flood, but he's not understanding what's really going on, but he has good evidence of it. Okay. So once you understand that that's our reality and we're in this dome, wouldn't you focus your intent on how you would exit this prison? Because that's what we're in, you see? And once you can see the prison, then you look to others that know the attributes of the prison. You're in it, okay? You're aware of it. You're awake. Anyone that doesn't know they're in a sphere, in a prison that's dissolved and rinsed out every 700 years, they don't know anything, really. Nothing too important. I mean, until you get the big picture, so you're not making any traction in your little picture, you know? So the revelation that we're just in this tiny little space, like the Truman movie, right? And only a few of us, 1 in a million, at this current stage in a human body, is meant to have the option to go to God. No one else here. We're on different schedules. It's going on endlessly, he said. It's an endless evolution in here. Okay, this is endless land, but you can just step out if you have the right actions and do what God says and leave the endlessness. So this video is about that Mahapralaya that happens every see what happens, he's here for 700 years, he does the rinse out, and then, you know, he sucks the water out after 700 years of a rest, and then there goes another 700 years of earth people. How do you not know this? How is this not written down in history? I mean, it's observable reality. God is all powerful. He can make up anything happen in a mind, in reality, anything. You don't understand the power. But if you look at the evidence, this is what's been happening in this place over and over and over again. Okay, this is the only thing that's happening. The rest of it, this is not that important. You see? So anyway, please, I could go into more, but I think this is a good start right here of just pure evidence. Go look into this. The revelation here in this very small sphere reveals God, and that's what I'm trying to help do, is reveal the truth and God, and there's nothing to worry about. God has your back. So if you're going up against the bankers or whatever it is, if you're signed in trust with God, you're in a dome, here you're in this sphere, God is the power here, not people, not anything else. They can't stand against God. That's proof of my work too. Okay, I do the most, what we're told what most not to do, which is just, hey, could you prove that you have that dead? I know you say it, all these things, but can you prove it to me? And they can't, and then you fall under the authority of truth and God, and there are no worries, you see? So it all goes together with my other work, that there's nothing to worry about. Today is a good day to have a good day, okay? Give your worries to God, do your best, and understand where you are. He's got your back, okay? All right, I hope people find this information helpful. If they do, great. I'll go on a little more about how this place is run and who runs it and so on, because I've spoken to God's shadow quite often, and I could tell you a lot about it. So let's save that for another video if people are into that. Okay. God bless your success. Check us out on libertyaid.org and write your questions to contact@libertyaid.org.